Okay, like I said, I know that video wasn't, it's not real fun to watch, this isn't really fun to think about, but what questions do you have at this point before I go on? Yeah?
So when they do the run portion of that, where is the meeting place? Is there a meeting place per school?
Okay, good question, good question. So what we've trained our staff to do is, and again, when we talk about empowering staff, right? We talk about empowering staff. So that staff member we feel like is in the best position to decide whether to run, whether to hide, or as a last resort, whether to fight, okay? So if that staff member were to determine the best course of action for him or her and his or her students would be to run, then the number one thing that we've talked about as an administrative team and what we've been trained on is make sure those kids are safe. Make sure those kids are safe. So you talked about, I think, a reunification point. There is a reunification point for all three buildings, and that is something that we're not sharing outside of our staff. In the event that this would occur, then you would get a Skylar and be told of further instructions. What else?
What kind of trainings are you giving to staff and to students for Run High Five?
Yeah, that's a good question. To staff, what we're doing is in April, all staff will be trained on this. I anticipate that they're going to have a lot of questions moving forward. Understand that we're only 2 or 3 steps in front of you guys on this. Yeah, all staff will be trained in April at the professional development meeting. With students, it's going to differ by building, where at the elementary building, that's going to differ a little bit from the high school. We will not practice at the high school. What we do is at professional development days, all staff always brings these crisis intervention emergency procedures, and we give them a scenario that we go over. We just say, hey, here's a scenario. What would you do if? So we're trying to get them thinking about these things. If you could go back to right here. Okay, and one thing at the February 17, 2016 meeting of Harvey County Emergency Management, we had a lot of different, we had educators there. If you scroll down, the colleges were there, healthcare was there, keep going down, law enforcement, government and elected officials, and this is just notes from the meeting. You guys are welcome to any of those notes that you want after this is done, but we all came together, 70 people came together, around 70, 75 people came together to discuss active shooter. And one of the things that one of them said at that meeting, it's kind of eerie to tell you this, but one of the people said, hey, it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. And 1 week later at Excel and Heston, as you guys are aware, it did occur. It did not occur in school, obviously, but this was a meeting of all stakeholders of Harvey County Emergency Management. So, hey, at this time, I'm going to stop recording and because for my presentation I told you about, but I'll be happy to answer more questions. Go ahead and stop that.